Right.
Welcome back. This is Billy with Coach Dooley's List. And once again, if you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page and follow us on all of our social media platforms. I am today doing my second interview with one of the officials that I've known for quite some time. And again, the reason for this, I think it is very important that coaches definitely listen to what these guys got to say today. So I'm here with Dustin Holton, one of the officials I've seen for softball for years, seen him on the basketball court, and he said he did baseball back in the day too. So Dustin, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here.
I love it. So first off, and just kind of tell everybody, what's your journey been to get where you're at today in the umpire world?
Definitely not been linear. My dad was an official as I grew up, so I was exposed to it early on. We'd go to his games and whatnot. And but interesting enough story. I was working on a golf course when I was 16 years old, and there was a gel insert in this golf ball that I wanted to know what was inside this golf ball. I did not find out what was inside the golf ball, but I found out what was inside my hand.
I see the scar.
Yeah. And so I probably left that golf course because I was working at at the time, and then that spring I needed a job, so I hopped on a softball field, and that's how I got started. So
been there ever since.
Been there ever since. I started when I was 16 years old.
I love it. I love it.
Been a wild ride.
Well, and one of the things, and coaches kind of always talk about is, when you get the list comes in your email, you know who it is, or if you don't ever see that, and then you look out in the parking lot and you see who's coming up a lot of times, and we get to know the umpires. Sometimes you don't know them, but what is it you want coaches to know about you when you're about to head to the field? What are they going to get out of you?
Well, we joke that it's either oh good or oh God, right? But I think that, again, I've done this for a minute, and I think that one of the things that I want coaches to know, or what I want them to feel when I show up, is, hey, I don't have to worry about umpiring.
Right.
They trust me that I'm going to be fair. I'm going to know the rules. I'm going to do an accurate job to the best of my ability, and that's the biggest thing. Is I don't want them to worry about umpiring that day. Is they get to do what they're there to do, which is coach, and just they can relax on the umpiring side.
No, and I agree, and that was definitely something I always saw when you came up too. And I think the biggest thing is, like you said, you're going to do the best you can. You're going to be fair about things, and I think too, people need to realize too that you guys are human. I think it's kind of like when a kid sees a teacher at school or see them in the grocery store and they're like, what are you doing here? They think their only job is being at the school. I think it's the same thing with umpires.
I've got two stories. On one, I was doing an NAI opening round up in Kentucky, and I was umpiring this team for 2 days, and we were in the hotel, and they were watching a different game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in my not in my uniform, in my collared shirt, walked in. I said, "Oh, that's so and so behind the plate." And they turn around and looked at me, and they go like, "Oh, do you know the umpire?" They had no idea who I was, and I just umpired 3 of their games, for 2 days. It was funny, but to that point, I tell a story. I'm in the process of writing a book of how to win games and influence umpires. Not really, but sort of. I tell a story that a guy wakes up Monday morning. He works at a high school, and he goes in. He's got a new department head. Doesn't get along with her at all. Works at a high school. He gets rained out. He gets rained out on Monday, but he's got a heck of a stressful job on Monday. Tuesday, goes to the game. Everything's fine. Wednesday, he gets a phone call from his dad, his wife, his mom, cancer return. Finds out Wednesday night that his daughter's failing a couple of classes. Then Thursday comes, he's got another game, and it's hot, and it's 4th inning. Big play happens at second base, and now we've got 2 entities, coach and umpire, that lose their mind. But in that story, I didn't tell you which one was which.
Right.
And there's we are human, and we do have jobs and lives and families and bills, and we do spend a lot of time away from them to hone our craft and to give back to the game, and a lot of times in free situations. So we are human,
Yes.
and that's very important.
Yeah, no, I agree. We got the butterfly floating around.
Yeah.
And so, you told a little bit of story there. So I always hop in and ask coaches, or sorry, umpires, what's one of your favorite umpire stories? Could be funny, could be, don't get too heated ones.
Sure,
I know there's some good. You can tell as many as you want.
No, do you remember Ricky Bugsby?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that I was 17 years old, and at the time, Ricky was big time travel ball coach down in Duluth. I was 17 years old. Ball comes in, it bounces. I call it a strike, and Ricky calls time. He's in third base dugout, and he comes walking. I go, oh, crap. How am I going to get out of this? Because this is bad. And he walks in. His batter takes about a step out of the batter's box, and he looks at her and he goes, if you ever swing at that pitch, I will sit you for the rest of the season. Turned around, walked off. Message received 25 years later. And we became great friends, and I love Ricky, and that's but that's one of the funnier ones that I've ever encountered, because he said what he needed to say without berating a young umpire.
No, and I love that too, because there's always a certain way to go about it, and especially with the young guys who we need to stick around.
Yes, sir.
So if you did have a young guy come to you today and said, Dustin, I want to become an umpire, what do you tell them? What advice do you give them?
Well, I'm in a unique position where I do have games that are not. I can schedule games that are not high school games.
Right.
And that's a great place for them to get started. And do games and get money in their pocket and see games, see plays. That's the biggest thing. If you've never played golf, when you walk out there and play golf, you're going to be pretty bad for the first month, and it's not any
Probably
different.
Longer than that.
It probably, but you could play every day and you still be pretty bad. It's not
Right.
much different with officiating. I tell you that hey, you start tomorrow, you're going to be pretty bad for a minute, and then hopefully you'll get better.
Yep.
But there's only one way to get better, and that's to be bad, and to go out and continue to work on what the things you need to work on.
Yeah, like anything, it takes time. So, again, we hear a lot of times, and one of the things I try to focus on is trying to help young coaches. But, I know coaches are starting to leave the game and stuff, but we see it a lot on the websites and things like that, but we're also losing umpires. I know the association I was with, before I quit coaching, I think they said the average age of the umpires was like 59 or 60 years old. So how do we help? How can coaches help get more umpires, keep them in the game, those kind of things?
Sure. Well, the biggest thing is, again, as I've mentioned, I've done this for 26 years. I've asked all my friends. I'm out. I don't have anybody to recruit.
Right.
That's not the case with coaches. You guys, I service 43 schools for high school softball, middle school and high school. If every one of them, those programs, recruited one umpire,
right?
Holy moly, we would be in and you have people at your disposal. The umpiring is a fantastic job for a high school kid, a college kid, a teacher. We play on weekends a lot of times in our travel ball season. So if coaches and programs and ADs and things like that can just promote officiating, I think we would be in such a incredibly different place in 4 or 5 years.
Right. Right. And so with that, and also recruiting them, what could you tell the fans? Because I know a lot of the stuff, and especially now with social media and stuff,
Sure.
I'm constantly seeing not good behavior. We'll leave it at that. So what could you say to the fans and stuff that could help?
I can say this, that, being an assigner, I've got to worry about, again, on a given day, 15 to 20 games.
Right.
And I'll ask you a question. In your career, you had the worst player on your team, right? I mean,
there's always someone, yes.
And at times that player had to play meaningful innings because of the situation you were in.
Yes. Yep.
All umpires are not created equal.
Correct.
And we've got the worst player on our team too. And sometimes that player has to go out and play meaningful innings.
Yep.
I wish it wasn't the case.
But it goes back to what you said. The only way to get better,
it's the only way to get better. Two, send me some more umpires so we can be in a situation where we can put the best officiating on every game that we can. It's no different than any other talent pool. The bigger your pool, the more talent you're going to have.
For sure.
And so that's the biggest thing, is to understand that not every game is going to have World Series officiating on it.
Right.
And heck, even if you did, most of them would be, some of them would be unhappy about that. But just understand that everyone is out there doing the absolute best they can to provide a service, and understand that sometimes, hey, if you're at a middle school game, you're going to get some middle school officials.
Yeah, and again, they've got to start somewhere, just like the players. And listen, I found myself in a situation last weekend at a 10U soccer where there was a situation. My kid was playing goalie. He got ran over, and it was the second warning a young man had got, and I went over, and I didn't say a ton, but I as soon as I got done, I felt awful. And it's one of those things, too, I think, and I know after the game, you're not supposed to go talk to officials, and that's especially for fans and that kind of stuff. But if you do screw up, say sorry. No. That just like in anything in life, I think that goes such a long way. And it's saying sorry. I don't know if that's a skill, but it's something that a lot of people have a really hard time doing. And if you mess up, just own up to it and keep them coming back. And
1,000%. But I don't want to sound. I say that to all my officials too. The same story that I said. We don't know which coach or umpire is having a bad day.
Exactly.
And I say that to my officials as well. I said, you don't know who found out what on a Friday night and then has to go, go coach all day on a Saturday.
Right.
You don't know what that coach is dealing with. And so, us as officials have to do a better job of treating coaches as human beings as well. We're not absolved from that. I say that every time I say this number, I think it gets higher, but I believe that 85% of coaches' ejections are umpires' fault. I'll say maybe not they're warranted. They're 100% 95% warranted, but there's something that the official could have done to prevent that ejection.
Right.
Most of it.
Well, and there's just so much that goes into it sometimes. So, and again, one of the big things actually after I met with my last official, he, I wasn't even thinking about it because the whole reason behind the website with Coach Dooley's list. And once again, I'm trying to let people know. Some people think I'm just doing interviews. The whole reason is to drive people back to the website. So coaches and now officials, I actually have a section for officials and umpires. And so, if anybody is watching that and you need your gear and that kind of stuff, I want y'all to go take a look there. It will be on by the time this airs. I've just added that section. But, what vendors do you use for getting your stuff or anything umpire related?
Personally, I use One Stop Sports out of Birmingham. His name's Joe Pike, and he's a NCAA softball official as well. And he ships lightning fast if he has it. Obviously, I've bought stuff off of Purchase Officials and everything else. And I also have plug nextlevelofficials.org has a list of vendors as well.
Oh, awesome.
As far as umpire equipment.
I need to get with you, and I'll get all those and get them on there as well. So,
Yep.
Well, listen, man, always good to see you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you taking the time, and good luck with whatever game you have tonight.
Thank you, sir.
All right.